Oh, my head is killing me. What the where am I?
Kenny, it's time to wake up now, Kenny.
Yuichiro, is that you? Where have you been? I was looking all over.
Oh, Kenny, I've been next to you, just like always. Anyway, it's time for you to get up now, okay? There's a lot of enemies you still need to fight.
Where am I?
Oh, you're in a tube. Yeah, that creepy guy from Squad 12 put you in here after he stabbed you.
Wait, you mean Mayuri? Oh, right, that fucking asshole Mayuri stabbed me. Oh, I'm gonna kill him.
Yeah, he stabbed you to save your life after you got your knees fucked over by a giant hand. After you got your arm destroyed by a giant hand. I think you should thank him, actually.
I don't know what that word thank means.
Yeah, I know you don't. Listen, you have to go over there and you have to fight, and then maybe you'll get to see me again.
Okay, I guess if that's what you say.
Yep. Now just remember, gut him like a fish for me.
Haha. Oh, I missed you.
この街に溢れるエゴイストのルール重たい鎖に繋がれた手足そのさないで君の答えは僕は見えないふりしないの隠さないでその手の中にある想いは
Hey everybody, Techie101 here, here to review Bleach chapter number 667, titled Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. Or, I mean, bigger, louder, and stronger. Yeah, I like mine better, but whatever. Anyway, chapter starts off in complete darkness. In fact, we don't really know where we are, and the person that's talking doesn't know either. They're just in this empty, monochromatic void of which there's no escape. Yeah, I kind of feel like that whenever I watch an M. Night Shyamalan movie. Well, anyway, no, it turns out it's Kenpachi Zaraki, and this is going back in time a little bit, before he arrived on the scene last chapter with, you know, Byakuya and Toshiro fighting against Gerard. So this is back when he was in Mayuri Kuratsuchi's healing pod. And like I said in the last chapter, he must not have been in that thing for very long, because the intervening time between the fight with Pernida and then the fight that's happening right now, that only could have been maybe like an hour or two maximum, and he's already back at full strength. Well, he's in there in the darkness, and he's just like coming to, because he was like knocked unconscious by Mayuri's Zanpakuto, Ashisogi Jizo, and he's like coming to his senses, and he's like, where the fuck am I? And of course, because this is Kenpachi, we're talking with the one and only answer to pretty much every question you can come up with is, I'm gonna cut it up! So he knocks the door off the healing pod. But keep in mind, this was also technology that was devised by Mayuri, so I can't imagine he used just, like, cheap tinfoil when designing this. And he steps outside. Now, this, of course, makes a really loud noise, which attracts Yumachika and Ikaku, which were close by. I don't really know what they have been doing, you know, since they put Kenpachi in the tube. I don't know if they were doing reconnaissance, you know, looking around, and they're like, all right, Yumachika, what are we doing next? Oh, we can go to the next battle. Oh, okay, giant guy. All right, well, let's go over here. Oh, shit, lightning and giant women. All right, you know what? Let's just stand back and have a lunch break and wait until Kenpachi wakes up. We don't want to die. Honestly, that's the smart move. I mean, what do you think Hanazaro's doing right now? No shit, he's probably hiding in, like, under a rock or in the basement of one of the buildings in the fetal position, hoping to God nobody finds him. I think that's the smartest move here, especially for Yumachika and Ikaku. I mean, I don't know, Ikaku's Bankai could probably do something to Gerard, but it wouldn't be enough to take him down, and his Bankai's not as strong as it used to be. Yumachika's Bankai might be interesting if he has one, but he probably doesn't, so yeah, I think it's best those two just lay low. So they arrive, and they see Kenpachi standing there. His arm is fixed after it got twisted off and, you know, well, ripped off by, you know, Kenpachi after, you know, Pernida affected it with the nerves, and he just ripped that shit off, and then he got his kneecaps destroyed, and his legs were, you know, pretty much rendered useless by Pernida after, you know, Mayuri just stabs him right through the freaking chest with Ashisogi Jizo. All that stuff's completely recovered from, so, you know, I don't know if it's, like, Like, look, the Soul Society clearly has enough technology to heal people like this, because it's happened before. Like, remember with Soifone? Soifone had her entire arm disintegrated by Baragon, and then it was revealed over the 17 months it was not Orihime that healed her, it was just the technology of the Soul Society got on the level that could repair her arm. So it was Unohana that did it. Even with that being the case, we still don't know if it's like a normal arm or like a prosthetic. I would assume it's a normal one, but hey, Kukaku has a prosthetic, so that's possible too. And I don't give a shit about Soifone, so I really don't care either way. But yeah, I mean, here he is. Kenpachi's standing perfectly fine. His arm has regenerated. There's no other way to say it, because his arm, it wasn't like just throw the arm in there with him and it'll reattach. Like, his arm was a pile of meatballs on the ground, as Mayuri so eloquently put it. His arm was gone, so he regenerated an arm. You know, his knees, I can understand, that could heal up. The stab wound, that also could have been healed up, but that is a brand new arm there, and he's holding Nozarashi, so he's ready for a battle. So with that being said, we get the title page, then we cut back over to Gerard, who's shouting as the blood is literally geysering from his stump of a right arm. You know, his one of the major arteries had to be severed there, so it's like a waterfall of blood should be falling upon Byakuya and Toshiro. That would actually be a pretty cool effect if Kenpachi showed up, cut off Gerard's arm, and then the blood from his arm just completely falls on Kenpachi and he gets drenched in it, and he's like, "Ah, yes, I'm back in action, bitches! You Quincy mofos are getting cut down!" So I think, you know, Kubo missed an opportunity there, but no, Gerard's really not that freaked out, though, because he's just like, "Oh no, my right arm!" And then with that being said, light begins to spring directly from his stump, and it begins to reform, and it's like, has gotten even stronger than before! So, his arm has been healed through his miracle powers. It has now been upgraded a little bit. We now see that he kind of like has like brass knuckles kind of going on, and these, you know, these darker lines that are kind of going over his arm, so I guess it's gotten a little bit bigger, more muscle mass or whatever, so it's clearly been improved. And now we know definitively that Gerard's miracle power does indeed work even after he achieved his god size, because that was something a lot of people were curious about. Like, you know, now that he used his like 1-to-1 conversion, like he took all the damage in and then he activated the power, is it still in effect? And yes, it is. But that's not necessarily a bad thing when you think about it, because going back to my original idea, you know, I said it as a joke, but if he's healed, then wouldn't that cause damage to him? I mean, I don't know if that's the way they're going to go about it, but by this logic, more damage I take, the more I get healed, and my limb gets improved even better than it was before. So I would say the obvious option would be, you know, get Hanataro and heal, and, you know, Hisagumaru and stab him a couple times. I don't know, worth a shot, right? Although with Kenpachi being here, that's probably not going to be the case. Anyway, Byakuya is looking up, and he's just like, oh, okay, so I guess he does heal even after parts of his body have been regenerated. Okay, well, that's going to be a problem here. And now, there's another little bit of a back and forth between the two involving a height joke, but considering the situation we're in, I'm just gonna skip that and move to Kenpachi. So he's like, oh, alright, so if I cut him up, he gets stronger. Well, let's see here. I could cut him up more, or hack and slash. Oh, shit. I think I'm gonna go with D, all the above. So he just leaps into the sky. I guess his plan is to just hack him up until he's nothing but little cubes of jelly. Although I would be remiss to say that even with that happening, you know, the little cubes of jelly would reform into an even bigger, you know, Gerard somehow. Like he's gonna get so big at some point, like he would literally just fall off the Varvelt. In fact, Toshiro even brings that up. He even says to him, like, if he were to fall down now, that would actually, you know, negatively impact the Soul Society because he's so freaking big. Now, I don't know if Toshiro's talking about, like, he's gonna crush the Seirete, because, yeah, Gerard's pretty big, but I don't think he'd be big enough to completely wipe out the Seirete. Plus, the Seirete is kind of already a little bit fucked already. I mean, it is. I mean, all the buildings are destroyed. You know, you got flamingo infestation everywhere. Actually, that would be hilarious if Gerard just falls off the Varvelt and just lands on all the flamingo clones of Lilia, and then that's how they both go out. That's how they both die. But yeah, so Toshiro tries to stop Kenpachi. Kenpachi, like, pulls back a little bit because, you know, he could have easily cut Toshiro in half here, let's be honest. And he tells him, you know, you have to be careful. If he falls from this height, we have to defeat him up here, or he could obliterate all of Soul Society. I think that's a translation issue. He's not going to be able to obliterate all of Soul Society. I mean, at most, he might be able to do a significant amount of damage to the Seirete, which is already heavily damaged, but the Soul Society is like like, huge, like hundreds of thousands of miles, probably. It's not going to do damage there. In fact, that might be the best course of action. Honestly, I mean, the most pressing issue, I think, would be getting to Yuha and stopping him. So if you just, like, you know, kick freaking Gerard off the side of the Varvel, like, all right, he's taken care of for now. Let's go take care of Yuha. If he survived, whatever, we'll figure that out later. Yuha's the pressing matter. But yeah, I guess it makes sense. You don't want them falling on the freaking city or whatever. I mean, isn't there like the 72 layers? Wouldn't that like shred him? I mean, it didn't work with Lilia because Lilia was made of light, so okay, that makes sense. But this is like a physical being that he would just get shredded on the way down. Well, anyway, Gerard decides just to not use the new arm he got because that would, you know, make sense. Instead, he opts to just step on Kenpachi and Toshiro. However, Kenpachi just grabs the freaking sole of his sandal and just lifts him freaking over, and that knocks him back into the side of the big tower of the Varvel, because remember, they're like at the entrance of like the tower where, you know, the Silburn is at the top, you know, so Gerard just gets knocked into that, knocks a couple of buildings apart there. Kenpachi, I mean, he's not the sharpest tool in the shed. In fact, I don't even think he's really in the shed, but he just leaps up and he's like, yeah, size matters, I'm gonna cut this guy apart even more. And he goes to attack his, I guess, I don't know if he's aiming for the shield, but he ends up hitting the shield, and Gerard's just like, you didn't really think that would work, did you? And then just boom, just knocks the guy across the freaking Varvelt, you know, through several buildings. And Gerard gets up and he's like, oh man, that's some insane strength you got there to topple me over. So he pulls out his sword out of, he has like one of the, like the sheath into his shield. I don't know if that's called something, you know, when the sheath is inside the shield, but he pulls out his sword, his like claymore, and he refers to it as his Hofanung? All right, fine, whatever, we'll just go with that. Or I could just call it the Sword of Hope. You know, he's the kind of character, kind of along the lines of Maste Masculine. You know, Maste Masculine was going around being like, you know, I'm the hero and you're the villain, you know, epic posing. I was doing the Death the Kid thing there for a second, you know, Stance of Sin style. But no, his sword is the Sword of Hope, and his whole motive, I guess, is, you know, it would be a miracle for me to win against you, which is exactly what my power is. And this sword is the Sword of Hope for all the downtrodden. I will cut you down. So something like that. It's cool. He's not just all about, you know, I am evil, so I have to have a dark blade to reflect my dark personality. Something interesting I have to bring up, though, considering he's the miracle and everything. You know, the whole idea of a miracle is that you don't have a chance of winning, but then a miracle happens and then you're saved. So the idea that his power is constantly utilizing miracles, it seems to go against the nature of miracles, which are supposed to be like a one-time only thing, you know? Unless that's the point of the power. It makes miracles be less of a miracle. I don't know. But it's like going back to the Fullbringer arc. Remember Shishigawara, the guy with the Fullbring of Jackpot Knuckle? And it's like anything I hit, you know, I hit the jackpot and then it works into my favor. Like if I hit your arm with my Jackpot Knuckle, then the arm will break, you know? But the more times you use it on the same target, the jackpot goes down. So it's not like it's a sure kill hit the first time, but it's not all the time. So that's what I want to bring up about, you know, Gerard's power. You know, can he constantly just keep using this miracle power over and over again? Because after a while, it just kind of stops being a miracle. So anyway, we cut away to where Kenpachi ended up, so like 3-4 miles away. He's inside of a building, and he's just like, he gets up, he just kind of like dusts himself off, and he's like, that's a pretty solid shield and a pretty solid body to boot. Makes me want to cut it up even more. Drink Nozarashi. Ooh, still got tingles down my spine whenever he does that. Ugh. Alright, so he activates his Shikai, and of course this is the first time that people actually get to witness it, because the first time he used it against Gremmy, you know, I don't think a lot of people got to see it because they were at the top of that tower that Gremmy made, but also you had a giant meteorite falling on all of Serite. I think most eyes were on that, other than Kenpachi's badass sword. So Toshiro and Byakuya are discussing this now, and this is kind of like, this is mostly just a, you know, straight up fight 'em up chapter sort of deal, but hack and slash, but there's this one thing that, you know, Toshiro and Byakuya brings up that's pretty important. So Toshiro's like, what the hell, is that his Shikai? When did Zaraki learn his name? Its name. And then Byakuya's like, oh, okay, so our assumption that his sword was already in its Shikai state was false. I guess that also means that the whole idea, the whole concept of a Zanpakuto having a constantly released state is false. So this brings up a couple of things. Number one, Byakuya brings up, oh, we didn't know that his Zanpakuto was already in its Shikai. We just assumed, because that was a big deal for a long time, because we just figured that was the case, mostly because Kenpachi's Zanpakuto, even before he releases it into Nozarashi, it looks very different from any other sealed Zanpakuto. You know, it's a lot longer, it doesn't have a sheath, its guard is different, you know, it didn't look like a standard, like, sealed katana. You know, and I know not all Zanpakutos have to have them sealed into katanas like Uehara has the cane sword, but I don't see, you know, it wouldn't make much sense for, I mean, Uehara's a scientist. I can understand him modifying his Zanpakuto's sealed form. I can't see Kenpachi doing that. So you just assume that, oh, it looks a little bit different, so I guess it's always in its Shikai. But now we have Byakuya saying, oh, we didn't know for certain, so I guess we were just wrong. And also, he questions the very existence of a constantly released Zanpakuto. Now, the only two characters up to this point that we've known for certain have something that we thought to have a constantly released Shikai were Ichigo and Kenpachi. But now he's bringing it up like, okay, Kenpachi's sword was sealed, and then this is what it looks like in its Shikai. Alright, I can understand that. But then we get to Ichigo. And that's something completely different, because now we're under the idea that maybe the Zanpakuto Zangetsu, when it was originally sealed, you know, that makes sense now because Zanpakuto, you know, Zangetsu revealed that that wasn't all of your power, so that makes sense. But now we question what's up with these. Like, is this his Shikai? Is this his just his sealed form? Like, at first I assumed, oh, well, that's easy. It has to be his Shikai. But now Byakuya brings that up, and I'm like, I don't know anymore. I don't know. I mean, he can use Getsuga Tensho, but so could Isshin. Isshin used his Getsuga Tensho when he had a sealed sword. I don't think he activated Engetsu anyway. Then again, Isshin's sword is just kind of like fire erupting from the sword, but I don't think that happened when he was fighting against Aizen. The fire didn't erupt, so I'm gonna say he used Getsuga when it was sealed. So yeah, that's an interesting little quirk there. I don't know where this is going, but it's interesting that that got brought up. Also, yeah, it's something important to mention. There's some Shinigami that do keep their Zanpakutos in Shikai often. Like, remember Kensei? Kensei had his little dagger, but he just kept it in Shikai, I guess just because he wanted to, you know, and maybe he didn't keep it like that all the time, but maybe just for compact's sake, he always kept it in his pocket because it was easier to manage, you know, I don't know. But the only ones that we thought were, like, constant state were Kenpachi and Ichigo. That's what I'm referring to here. Well, anyway, that's really the only piece of exposition we get in this chapter, because now Zaraki is just staring down Gerard, and Gerard, you know, raises his Hofeng, and he just goes to attack Kenpachi with it. And it's funny because Kenpachi's sword is, like, really fucking massive. Nozarashi's huge. It's like twice his size. And in this fight, it might as well be a freaking letter opener, right? So they clash, Nozarashi and Gerard's Sword of Hope, and they're just kind of looking at each other really serious, and they both get knocked away, and, you know, Zaraki gets sent flying, of course. Gerard is just kind of like, oh, damn, you nicked my blade a little bit there. Huh, foolish oaf. Ha, what do you mean, foolish oaf? Cutting things is my... Oh! Alright, and that's where the chapter ends right there. We don't really know a lot about what happened other than the fact that Kenpachi and Gerard clashed with their swords, and then they got knocked back because of the recoil, and then his Sword of Hope got nicked a little bit, just a little bit, and then Kenpachi just gets gutted, you know, right across the freaking, like, the chest. So I'm assuming this is due because he nicked the sword. Like, maybe whatever damage the Sword of Hope endures is reflected back onto the enemy. I can assume that because I can't think of anything else. Unless, because the size of the sword is so massive, maybe it's like the part that Kenpachi nicked off got, like, flying into him. Like, I don't think that's the case, though. I think, because that's the cliffhanger of the chapter. Kenpachi getting knocked back and getting cut up, and he has this expression like, you know, what the fuck just happened there? And considering Nozarashi's supposed to be a sword that could cut through anything, very, very interesting here. Well, technically it did cut it. It just nicked it a little bit. So perhaps that's the ability of the sword, because Gerard seemed pretty confident, like, oh, you nicked my sword? Freaking moron. Now you're gonna get hurt. You know, something like that along those lines. But yeah, next chapter is probably going to be Kenpachi fighting against Gerard. Just, I guess that would continue, because Kenpachi fights are hack and slash for like the first 2 or 3 chapters until something interesting happens. I'm going to assume that something interesting this time is going to involve Yachiru. I'm pretty sure she's going to show back up again. My theory, and I made a video about this, I'll link it here, is that Nozarashi is in fact Yachiru. And I know you have a lot of stuff to say about that. Like, wait, she has her own Zanpakuto. Wait, she was around when Zaraki already had his Zanpakuto. Look, just go watch the video. Just go watch it. I reference all that stuff. You know, wait, she already has Zanpakuto spirits. We saw them. Like, yeah, just go watch it. That's the end of the chapter, though. Really not much to comment on. I'm kind of glad it was a short one because, you know, last review was pretty intense. Oh, by the way, speaking of that, was there anything coming of that demon gauge? No? Alright, that's good then. I'm gonna get going. See everybody, Techie 101 signing. Oh, god damn it! Wait. Bro, is that you? Rad.